A Heartland bridge remains closed after a driver spotted something on the deck.
Yeah, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet announced the closure of the Cairo Bridge late this morning. Officials closed the span over the Ohio River for what they called a special safety inspection. Now, it came after transportation officials say someone reported a, quote, noticeable change on the bridge deck, and that is all they're saying. Officials say engineers will decide if the bridge is safe to reopen once that inspection is finished. In the meantime, drivers are asked to use the I-24 bridge between Paducah and Metropolis. Now, as a reminder, that bridge is currently down to one lane in both directions because of an ongoing project by the Illinois Department of Transportation.
Today's closure comes amid the planning for a new bridge that would connect Cairo to western Kentucky. The planning started in 2013 and is currently in its final design phase. These are some of the renderings of what the new span over the Ohio could look like. However, construction isn't expected to start until 2029 at the earliest. Transportation officials hope to have a new span open to traffic sometime in 2032.
Speaking of bridges, the bridge from Cairo to southeast Missouri will be closed during the daytime hours this week. Those closures run from 7 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. Crews will be performing bridge maintenance during that time. The work is expected to be finished on Friday. There is no detour signs, but officials say there are message boards in place to remind drivers of the closures.